Welcome to another exciting episode of Wired Women. Today we have a special guest, Joanne Muturi. Joanne, thank you so much for joining me on the show and welcome. Can you introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
Absolutely. Jennifer, first and foremost, I want to thank you very much for welcoming me into the spotlight. It is a delight to be here. My name is Joanne Muturi. I am a coach for women. I work with women who are looking to transition from their 9-to-5 jobs so that they can be able to create and launch a business that they are madly, deeply in love with. A fun fact about me is that I am bicontinental. I operate between the beautiful country of Kenya, where I'm originally from, and the United Kingdom. I am married to one man, and we really do have a beautiful life together. And I think it's just part of what we have intentionally opted to create.
Let me just pick up on what you've just said. You are an intercontinental woman. So that means that you're an African living in the diaspora. Am I right? So you're from
Absolutely.
Kenya and you live here in England. So how does it feel to be an African living in the diaspora with the Black Lives Matter movement in full swing? How has that affected you, if at all? And what is your opinion about what's going on around us right now?
It's very interesting you asked me, Jennifer, because I literally at some point did a presentation in one of my forums about that. But my general sentiment is really that the fact that it has been highlighted at this particular time in history, for me, has revolutionized so many things in my life. And I came to the recognition, and it's very interesting when a couple of white friends, friends who are not Black, contacted me and they asked me questions around how, to explain to them a little what it means to be a Black person in the United Kingdom.
No kidding.
I'm serious. And one of them was literally tiptoeing around me when asking the question.
Bless
and I
them.
said to her, I have, just to bring it into context, I have lived in this country for 4 years now, and having worked with the United Nations previously, long story, I have had the opportunity to operate with Black people from, to work with and relate with Black people, white people from all over the world. And I said to her, I'm just happy. I'm just pleased that you now have an idea of what it means to be a Black person working in this country. The recognition that we are different from you, but we have everything within us to really shine and spotlight our lives. And I think that has just been a really great opportunity, for us as Black people to be seen, to be heard, and to be identified really based on who we really truly are. So I think that's really, really is my present thoughts as we speak.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that. I mean, it can't be that easy. So I can imagine also, I do know from your profile and from the work that you're doing at the moment, I've noticed that you are also a Christian that practices their faith. And so how does that correlate to you being an entrepreneur? What are your power tools that help you to sustain your business as well as your faith in the same vein without crossing the boundaries and crossing the line?
Jennifer, my face lit up when you asked me that question, because one of the things that has clearly been a huge part of my brand is the fact that I do not separate my faith from my business. They are very much interconnected. And just to answer this, I realized that what my mission is to empower women, at a global level, to not only honor themselves, but to live authentically and to live to their full potential. But how can that be done? It can only be done when you believe in something so much greater than you. Because in ourselves, just as Joanne, in my own capability, I can tell you for a fact, I cannot do much. So powered by my faith, powered by my belief in spirit, in source, powered by my belief that I was created here for such a time as this to serve and to lead. I honestly cannot imagine my life any other way. I can't explain it beyond that.
Oh, you've explained very well. I love it. I love it so much. It's just such an eye-opener. The passion comes through your explanation, and it's just so amazing and interesting to see how you even just have that seamless synergy between the two. I'm sure most of our viewers would really benefit from what you just said. Thank you for that. So moving on from that, Joanne, what would you say to your younger self? I know you mentioned earlier that you worked for the UN, for the United Nations. And so fast forward to now being where you are. And if for our viewers' sake, if you can actually tell us what is the name of your business so that they know what we're talking about. What would you say to your younger self looking back so many years to your UN days?
Thank you. Interestingly, the UN days are not too long ago. They're just 3 years ago. But just to take it back to my younger days, I was just about to say something there, and it's funny that the question you ask is linked to that. What I'd say to my younger self is that if you're not honoring your purpose, you are suffocating your soul.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
If you're not honoring your purpose, the reason that God put you on this earth, you're suffocating your soul. That's what I would have told the younger Joanne. And why I use those words with such, they come really from my spirit, is because for very long I had a beautiful job. Suffice it to say, the UN was everything that what the UN stands for.
Yeah.
However, there was something inside me, a fire that, I don't know if when somebody says something is bubbling in your spirit, I had a bubbling in my spirit that I could not put a finger on.
Yeah. And
I could feel there's something that I'm suffocating. There's something that I'm tranquilizing. There's something within me. The statement I would say is that I felt like I was living in the shadow of my dreams, irrespective of the fact that every angle, every aspect of my life seemed quote unquote perfect. Now, to bring you to the name of my business, the name of my business is actually In My Element. That's how we trade, because that's the work that I've been put here to do, to help you step into your element, to stretch you. I tell my clients, I squeeze every drop of potential out of you. And essentially, what does that mean? When every drop of potential is squeezed out of an individual, they step into their element. And when you step into your element, you're living in your truth, you're living in your authenticity, and you're living in the path, the divine destiny that God set you apart in this world to do.
Ooh, you just took me to church, girl. I feel sanctified. I feel like I've just had a Holy Ghost baptism. I normally wouldn't say that on my show, but hey, my middle name is Faith, so I'm all for that. So thank you so much for that, Joanne. That is just amazing stuff. Oh, okay, it's getting hot in here. Thank you so much for sharing that. I just love your passion. It's amazing, and it comes right through. So what then would you say was your aha moment? What attribute do you have as Joanne, as a person, that got you to this space, that brought you from where you were at point A to maybe you're at point Z right now, or point Z as they say it in America? At what point, what was maybe the three milestones in your journey that maybe takeaways and attributes that somebody viewing us this conversation right now can take away from your journey so far?
Absolutely. So, Jennifer, I'm going to give a little bit of a story, because I say that every journey starts with a story.
Yes.
The year 2014, without going into much detail, I fell ill and had a tumor that was literally costing my life, let's put it quote unquote. And the doctors at the time diagnosed me, or rather put a full stop where God had put a comma in my life, because they said to me that at the most you have 6 months to live. Now, Jennifer, if anybody in the audience is listening to this, you can imagine somebody telling you that at the most you have 6 months to live. Your life literally flashes before your very eyes. And that's when that call came to me, the one that I mentioned to you earlier, that when you're not honoring your purpose, you're suffocating your soul. And I realized that first point, that this was my opportunity really to really make the most of my life. It was a second chance that I had been given to really take the reins on my life. And that's why part of my branding talks about living your one royal life.
Living your what?
One royal life.
Amazing. I love it.
You don't get two chances, Jennifer. You get one chance, and it's a royal one.
Yeah.
So I always tell my clients and the women that I am really honored to work with, as I will share with your audience, that the crown that you have been given, you're donning it as a woman who has really been given that one chance at this life. You don't get a second, or a third chance to play. So make it royal, make it regal, make it good. So that's the first one, about recognizing that there are things in life that we are only given once to do. The second thing that I want to talk about is tranquilizing our passions. Many women are very aware of the things that they love to do, but they do not give themselves the permission to live what I call the epic life. You go looking at other people's lives, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, I wish I could. And part of the calling that I have is to tell you that not to wish you could, but you have the permission to go for it. So allowing women to step into their power, take that royal positioning that they've been given, and really go for it. That's the second one. And the third piece that is most essential, Jennifer, is living a life of significance. You said something that I loved, that greatness comes from you really serving. Greatness comes from service. Yeah. And I completely, 1,000,000% believe in that. And for me, a lot of the significance that I feel I'm here to contribute is based on a life of service. And service does not necessarily mean being present for every single individual in God's beautiful world, but for the women who have been called into my space, to really serve them with diligence, to serve them with passion, and above all, to serve them with heart, with soul. Yeah. With heart and soul, so that they can really get the essence of who they've been created to be.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So obviously what I'm hearing you say is that in order for you to serve the people that you're working with right now, you've got to be present. You've got to be in the moment and be available. Your whole essence, your whole soul essence, be in that space in order for you to provide that service to the women that are in your sphere. That's really, really amazing insight. And obviously that's something that a lot of people tend to miss, because if you're not mindful of the space where you're at, you're not mindful of the purpose that you were created for, and you're not mindful of the fact that you are a royal priesthood, to borrow your words of being regal and being royal. I just love all of that, those nuggets. That's just amazing. It just draws a spotlight on how important it is to be your authentic self and just to go for it, really. And most of the people that I've spoken to are really inspiring women just like you, that actually encourage everyone to just do it. Even if you're doing it fail forward, do it while you're afraid, but the end message is just do it, really. So thank you for that. So I guess my next question, I would say, what would you say to our viewers that are listening to us having this conversation right now, and they're thinking, okay, I don't even have faith. I don't even have a career path chosen. I don't even know where I'm going with what I have right now. What are the words of encouragement that you would say to our viewers right now?
I think for such a person, honestly, would be to identify a mentor. One of the things that I've realized is that many of us feel that we can do it on our own. And part of the reason we remain exactly in that position of woe unto me, things could be better. Oh, how come everybody else seems to figure it out but me? And I'll just make it very simple for them. Get a mentor, get a coach, get someone to literally handhold you to get out of your own head.
Yeah.
To get out of your own thoughts. Yeah. And to help you really step into the path that that you would want to get into. We cannot do it on our own. End of. We cannot do it on our own.
So thank you for that, Joanne. So I just wanted to pick your brains now to just think, obviously, not everything has been perfect. You've gone through a tremendous challenge in your life. You had that illness that was life-threatening, and you've gone through your own personal ups and downs, I would say, in your life. So what would you say the worst things that you've learned from your past life that were maybe your worst attributes? Because usually I ask the opposite way of this question. I usually ask people to tell me what their best attributes that people can learn. But I want to know, what were your worst attributes that when you look back and you say to yourself, I need to have a change of mindset. What are those 3 things? Maybe we can narrow it down to 3 things that you did habitually that you kept on telling yourself, how can I get out of this?
I can tell you very quickly. The first one I would want to say is really overthinking. I knew the calling. It was there. I could sniff it. It was literally almost, I could say to a large extent, clear to me.
Yeah.
However, overthinking, like how the house, trying to get every little bit and piece seamlessly, all the puzzle pieces have to come in together, and trying to understand, what would that look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now?
Wow. And
when I look at it, I'm like, oh my goodness, I would rather an oops than a what if.
Yeah.
I'd rather an oops than a what if. Yeah. Because I can always course correct. Yeah. So that's the first one, the overthinking. The second one is I am a recovering perfectionist. So little Miss Perfect here wanted everything, in retrospect, when I look at it, just wanted everything perfect because little history, I'm a firstborn, and there's a little pressure that comes with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously with the kind of upbringing I've had, I have always really desired things to go a certain way. Yeah. Could be the Leo in me, the little boss thing in me. However, just to bring it into perspective, that progress for me is much better than perfection now. So I felt a lot of things delayed simply because of the perfectionistic tendencies, if there's such a word, quote and quote.
Yeah.
And the third one I must admit is not asking for help earlier. That's huge. Mm. And even me being able to, I cannot believe I've actually vocalized it. And not in terms of mentorship or anything, but that for me is very easy. Asking people to show me and teach me, but in terms of generally how I execute my day-to-day, I realized that I was really doing a lot of stuff. And part of it was for me to really distinguish to myself, what are the core activities that only I can do, and what can I delegate? And I'm proud to say now that I have come to understand the need for delegating, and I'm more gentle on myself. And I can report here that I lead a more balanced life as a result of that.
I was going to say, when you were making the second point, I was going to say delegation. Most leaders, especially small business entrepreneurs, they tend to hold everything to themselves. They tend to think that if they outsource any part of their businesses or their activities, like you said, admin tasks and stuff like that. And I think I remember talking to one of my guests as well about the same exact thing. They just feel like then they lose the control of their business. They lose their ability to direct the path of their business. But when in actual fact, it actually just takes away time from their busy schedules. If your time is put in value form, in pound forms, it's £100 an hour. And if you spend time doing things that are going to cost you £100 an hour, why not pay somebody £10 an hour to do that, and you keep the £90? So that's just proper thinking, but most people don't appreciate that. So
yes, it's interesting that I just felt that I would want to contribute with what you just talked about, the £100 and how you could easily delegate around these things. So one of the strong points I don't have is I don't have green fingers. I live in England, but I don't have green fingers. And the other day I was looking outside my beautiful, cute garden at the back, and I could see all these weeds, and they were really irritating me. But the mental thought of going to weed for a couple of hours versus me sticking to what I call, my zone of genius, my zone of brilliance, right? It felt so much easier for me to have somebody do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where to get a garden, and locally, and I just said to Spirit that just show me, lead me. And yesterday morning when I was taking a walk, literally a van stopped right in front of me, written gardening, Jim will fix it, gardening supplies, blah, and gardening landscaping thingy. And I stopped the guy and I'm like, do you have a minute? He's like, yes. And guess what, Jennifer? He's like, I have a couple of hours early next week. Can I pop in and just check your garden in a few minutes and see if I can sort that out? I'm like, absolutely. And how much did he charge me? The amount that you're talking about right now. So it was a win-win for both of us. Jim will fix it, loves gardening. And Joanne gets to do what she does, which is serving her clients, other than thinking about the weeds in her backyard. So I thought to just share that example.
Absolutely amazing. I'm glad you shared it. It's an amazing anecdote. So thank you so much for sharing that. So it's exactly putting into practice what we were just discussing earlier. So that kind of puts it into a better perspective for our viewers. So yeah, absolutely fab. Thank you for sharing. So before we let you go, Joanne, it's been such a pleasure talking to you, but I'm sure our viewers are dying to get to meet you in the virtual world and learn more about you and understand you better. How can they find you if they were to try and connect with you?
Absolutely. So 3 quick ways to get to me. The first one would be through my website, which is www.joannemuturi.com. And in the website, I have a resource that I think the viewers would love, which is a lovely gift I'd want to give the viewers, which is my ebook called Fearless, downloadable from that website. The second way they could reach me is through my Facebook. I have a Facebook group, which was greatly inspired by one of my favorite books called Lioness Arising. So the name of the Facebook group is Lioness Arising with Joanne Muturi. They can pull that up. And the third way viewers can connect with me is through Instagram. My Instagram handle is purpose_cultivator, because I help to cultivate your purpose. So that's how they can reach me.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for that. You've been such a joy to talk to, Joanne. So, and your name starts with Joanne, as in joy. Let's cut that up to joy. Just, you've been such a joy. I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I wish we could go further, but unfortunately, we have to stop here. I've just really, really been humbled and privileged to have you on the show today. And I look forward to having you again in the future. Thank you.
You know, Jennifer, it has been such a delight. I can't even believe how fast it went. You've been an absolutely gracious hostess, and I can't wait to really connect with you and your audience in future. Thank you ever so much for having me. Thank you so much.